And I realized that it was a space that was vacant. No one was there. So I was never someone who was good at communicating, but I learned that, listen, I don't just want to do this on my own. To have an impact, people have to be involved. That's why sometimes people say, but why do you share so much information about what you do? It's a business secret. You should keep it to yourself. Why to a point where the typical half-head person would be thinking that, no, there's something that you'll be telling them, but why would this man be saying that we have gold? No, agriculture is vast. Agriculture is the only industry in Cameroon and in the world that can stop unemployment. Those 60 million people, agriculture can employ all of them in a day. You get me?
Yeah.
Imagine the land that Cameroon has. Give everybody 1 hectare of land. Everybody. They get in there. We need the food. The food is there. We consume it. So when they are looking for industry to put people, I just like, why you guys? There is land everywhere. Everywhere. In the US today, people use their roofs to grow crops on top. We still have land with water passing nearby. You go to Ngaoundri, you have land more than you can ever imagine. The water table is just there. You dig a little well, you have water. Why are people not producing? So it is a message that needs to be driven. We don't have to wait for policymakers to say, oh, we are modifying this. No. I think the farmers need to be loud. Farmers need to talk. Farmers need to be advocates of what it is, because we know the truth. We know the truth. I know what farming really means. I can tell you about farming day and night. I can tell you about the advantages. I can convert you to be a farmer. And believe me, it's a profession that you don't have to abandon everything. Crops don't sleep. Anytime. You have people who work 9 to 5, then from 6 to 9, they are on their farms. They're watering their crops. Their crops are growing. In the Western world today, they put lights in houses because they grow indoors. Crops grow through the night. You go to a country like Iceland or Alaska where they have sunshine for 3 months, you see the crops that grow there, they are this big because they get more sunlight. So, crops need 2 things, water and sunlight. Give it to them. We have light, we have water. We're on the equator. So why are people not taking advantage? So it was just, we needed to have that message. We needed to talk about it. We needed to be advocates of the truth. You know, I have no interest to retain information because I want to gain. No, I think it's an industry where the more the merrier. It's not gold that we are mining that we are afraid that it will come out. No. If we can convert all the remaining lands in Cameroon to agricultural land, the better, you know, than otherwise. And one person cannot do it. When I realized that coming to Cameroon, the work was a lot, I understood that my mindset also had to be different. I understood that even a competitor to me is my collaborator, because if I cannot supply to you, let somebody supply to you. It makes no sense to hear that Cameroon is, you know, we have food, you know, insecurity. How come? Let people produce. So all of a sudden, the ideas that we have, we share them. All of a sudden, we created an open platform. I don't hide anything about the technologies that I develop. My business models are out there. The supply, my challenges are out there. I explain everything. Anybody coming after me would understand this is how I did it. But you understand that in Cameroon today, there's nothing you can learn from those who are ahead of us. It's as if, you know, I'm the first one to think about this idea, but people have been in agriculture. They have made billions, but there's nobody who has written any text to say, okay, these are the challenges that I faced in exporting to this place. No, nobody explains that. So all of a sudden, everybody goes there, falls in, and then just dies, and nobody talks about it. So we need to communicate on that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you talked about a need to have that mindset shift. I think that's really important, especially sharing all the information that you share, to be able to have people, you know, see things a different way, and to be able to, you know, improve that. And that's also something I was going to talk to you about, that unemployment that you mentioned. It's a really big issue, and I think with that mindset shift, you know, we have a lot of people who are sitting around looking at places, but I think agriculture can really be a field where, you know, they take that energy, they take their youthfulness that they have and be able to put that to work, producing food that can be sold to other areas. I think definitely that is the way to go. And also looking at and what do you do specifically in terms of the technology which you talked about, with the ideas that you share, the technology itself, looking at it, what makes it really different from the agricultural practices that our parents, forefathers have been using. Because as you mentioned earlier, the technology, the things have not really changed agriculture-wise for a very long time. So what is the new technology, and how is it really different in terms of productivity, in terms of what it brings to the table?
Very important. And I'll just give you an example. When you grow tomatoes outdoors, they grow up to a height of about 1 meter maximum, and then from the ground they spread. An outdoor tomato can give you about 20 fruits per plant at about 1 meter. But imagine now that you grow indoors, and those tomatoes can grow up to 4 meters.
Wow.
Now you understand it. So the idea now growing indoors is that they grow taller and they produce more because you're able to sustain it. So we grow tomatoes indoors for about 8 months. Outdoors is 3 months. You see what I'm saying? So that's one advantage, that you can conserve the plants and the plant can continue to produce over time.
Yeah.
That's one. Secondly is the fact that just like you and I, we're wearing clothes, we're indoors. If we're outdoors, the temperature is different. The environment is different. There's dust that's hitting, there's insects coming, I'm sure you and I will be hitting some flies back and forth now. That's the same thing with plants. When they're all exposed, they have other environmental things that affect. Be it insects, be it wind, be it rainfall, be it animals, be it all of that. That affects their growth. That affects their tranquility. So all of a sudden, plants that grow outdoors now, they are fighting against many other forces than focusing on their growth. You see what I'm saying? So you have that problem. Now, with all those other factors affecting plants outdoors, you have to find remedies. If insects are attacking, you have to look for an insecticide. If pests are attacking, you have to look for a pesticide. If fungi is attacking, you have to look for a fungicide. So all of that increases the cost. Now it reduces the strength of the plant, because now the plant is all medicated. You get me?
Yeah.
That's what is happening with plants. So all of a sudden now, what I can produce indoors, like indoors, for example, if I tell you that I have 10 tomatoes plants growing indoors, each of those tomato plants will give me about 40 fruits. Each of those 10 fruits will give me 1 kilogram, for example. So I can make 4 kilograms per plant. Now of the 10 plants, you can see what it would cost. Now outdoors, if you have 10 plants outdoors, and each of them can only give you 1 kilogram because they're going to give you 10 fruits. And of the 10 fruits that they give you, you have some that will get bad because you've been spraying a lot of insecticides or chemicals. They cannot last long. Or insects have been eating some, they cannot be good. Or, they've been hit by rain. Of course, rain is acidic. Rain, as a matter of fact, as good as it is to plants, also infects plants. Yeah, it also infects plants. Tomatoes, and I'll give you a good example. Tomato leaves, you have them curved like this. When rain falls, it stays in those leaves. Those leaves are the nostrils of plants. That's where the plants get to breathe. You get me? So when water clogs on that, they can no longer breathe. And it affects the plants. These are just basic little things that you have to understand. That sometimes the rain doesn't really help it. If the rain gets to the soil, good. But when it stays on the leaves, it's not good. So you see sometimes that the rain falls and then plants are actually dying. You say, no, and I wish. You understand? Yeah. You say, no, my neighbor is doing tomato, the farm is doing well, mine is doing. It's a problem. Talking even about that, you can have your neighbor up there who is growing plantains, for example. You are down this way, you're growing tomatoes. He uses a chemical on his farm for his plantains. But that chemical is not the same chemical your tomatoes need. Now, when rain falls, it erodes, it leaches all of that rain, brings it to your land, affects your own tomatoes. Now you see yourself, and you cannot control it. So the whole thing about the greenhouse technology is that it creates a microclimate that is suitable for the production of plants. To me, I see it's like having a kid in an incubator, giving them a perfect environment where they can grow. They are undisturbed. You give them everything. That is really what the greenhouse technology really seeks to do for plants. And now when you now start going to other developmental terms, you start to look at things like carbon crediting. It makes sense. You go to Holland, 1 in every 2 houses have a greenhouse farm. So what does it do? It makes people not having to go to the market every day. The reason you see traffic in this very Yaoundé is because people are going to work or going to the market. Those are the two places that they're going to. They go work money to go to the market. The traffic is always there. So imagine that people didn't have to go to the market this much. They didn't have to pollute the environment this much, because every time you and I walk out, you're spending air. You're polluting the environment. That's what carbon creating is all about. So with greenhouses now, you realize that people can actually cultivate crops near their homes and they don't have to go places. Then imagine also the fact that we now start to bring farms in the urban areas, urban agriculture. Back then, we used to believe that agriculture had to be in the rural area. Somebody had to walk 10 kilometers to go farm to market. You hear all those complaints. But you look just around here where we are, you see a lot of abandoned buildings. Abandoned. A lot. Imagine that those land are abandoned lots. You see a maison familiale, terre familiale, never avant. All disputes everywhere. If you can convert all those abandoned lands into farms. I have farms where I build them for particular localities. I've been very strategic with my work because I identify new layouts, new lots. If I identify there's a new quarter somewhere, those people need a market. Eventually, they need a market. You go now, you build greenhouses right next to them. So I always get a lot when people are buying lands. You go like to Gulf, for example, those new neighborhoods. Where they are buying land there for 100,000 francs a square meter. I take my own land and I put my greenhouse farms. Those people, of course, buying land very expensive, building very expensive homes, they want to eat good food. Those are the guys that would value buying lettuce for 3,000 francs, 5,000 francs a kilogram. Because it's natural, it's organic, and they see it. And most of them, they love the fact that, coming back from work, I stop at the farm, get produce. Most of them, they are people who have lived abroad, so they understand, neighborhood markets. So those are all things that, the technology seeks to bring, because you can now produce food. In Douala, for example, we built a greenhouse at the American school on top of the building. For the first time, kids at the American school, the most expensive school in the country, could also have a farm on their campus. Now they could call their parents at the end of the year and say, Papa, Mama, I grew bell peppers, I grew strawberries. You teach them that, because our kids today, they are so far off from the real production. They don't see farms. They don't know where oranges come from. They know where tomatoes come from. Just eat. They don't know where pineapples come from. We are punishing them. We are doing them a disfavor. So greenhouse farming is farming that I'll call it portable farming. You can carry it anywhere. If I build your greenhouse here today and you're moving out from this house, come on, carry it and take it to the next side that you are. So it made it important. It made it easier. It made agriculture very flexible. You see, in my way of life, it's all about flexibility and simplicity. How do you make something very flexible and very simple? To me, those are the two keys of success. And once you can make farming that much, it makes it easy. Tesla today is rising up because he made cars simple and flexible. You can drive a Tesla for 5 years and never have to go to the garage. He made it very easy. You don't have to stop at the gas station. You don't have to be worried about it, because the world wants things to be more simplified. And greenhouse technology simplified agriculture. It is not a technology, because people look at the technology and define the no, it's about the processes in it. Because I can tell you very well that, in the greenhouse, if I plant a seed today, I give you with exactitude. In 21 days, I have a nursery that would be ready. When I transplant, in 2.5 months, I harvest my first produce. And the first produce I have will have this diameter, will have this shelf life, will have this taste. I give you everything to specifics. It's something that you cannot do that with outdoors. So it is simplifying the agriculture to a point where even a kid of 5 years old can run a farm, because to me that is what matters. If we have to allow agriculture to a point where you have to be an adult, you have to have muscles, you have to be able to withstand this, and then we are losing. We cannot make it. So it was about simplifying agriculture and looking for a technology that could simplify that process, because agriculture became a very tedious profession. So simplifying it, making it easy, making it profitable. How many banks today can fund an agricultural project? Probably none. The microfinance whole institution that was brought up was for agricultural development, but none, they cannot. Because outdoor farming, you are unable to quantify it. Cash crops industry still works because the prices are set by somebody abroad, and then they can, since they sell cocoa now for 1,000 francs a kilogram, every cocoa there, it's been standardized. Back then, we had the Cameroon marketing board that was able to standardize our vegetables. We no longer have it. So today, you go to the market, tomatoes, 2 tomatoes is 100 francs. Tomorrow, the same tomato is 1 tomato is 100. The next day, you go, is 5 tomatoes. It doesn't make any sense. So the farmer that is producing today doesn't know how much will sell. So that is the problem. We are unable to standardize agriculture. Greenhouse farming is the only platform where you can standardize agriculture. I can tell you that in a greenhouse farm of 8 meters by 15 meters, I can have 250 plants, and those 250 plants, they can produce me 500 kilograms of tomatoes or bell peppers of this after 3 months. You get me? And I will sell those tomatoes at 500 francs a kilogram. So which means that of 500 kgs that I do harvest, I'm expecting 1 million francs. Of the 1 million francs, I am paying salaries X amount, I am paying utility X amount. So I can tell that, okay, of all of this, overhead would be 300,000 francs.